everyone, welcome back to the channel and to a new episode of Writing Wednesdays. So we've got a brand new question, and thankfully this time it's not an opinion essay question. Some people think that watching television is bad for children in every way. Others think it is good for developing children as they grow up. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. So, in a discussion essay, of course, you cannot pick sides. You must talk about both things. That is important. So here what we'll do is first we're going to get our ideas, main ideas. So we kind of build the skeleton first. Do just that. This is how I do it. You might like to do it in a different way. This depends on what you find most comfortable, right? Because most people will write the introduction first, and that of course makes sense. But this is how I do it because I need to first know what kind of content am I going to have, right? So first, before I write down my main ideas, I need to know which of these two opinions I more strongly identify with. So do I think television is largely good, or do I think it's largely bad? Which how is the scale kind of tipping, if that makes sense? Because although you have to discuss both views, you also need to show your opinion, right? And how do you do that? Well, you kind of have to balance both views with, one side. It's more like 45-55%, right? Not like 50-50, of course, because you must kind of show which side you ultimately favor, even if it's just a little bit of a difference. So television, I don't know. I don't think television is bad. I mean, I find it very useful. So I think I'll go ahead with television being useful as a stronger opinion, and television not being so good as the weaker opinion. I think that makes sense. Okay, so television use, monitoring and restricting children's television use. Yeah. Maybe maybe useful, maybe a good idea, maybe good. Could be beneficial. And then the next main idea, however, monitoring, not just some people think watching television is bad in every way. So monitoring is checking what kind of material they're consuming, and restricting is, okay, only 15 minutes or half an hour of TV, or whatever amount you have. Personally, I grew up in a household where nothing was restricted. And I can't say if that was good or bad. I personally think it was good because it helped me in many ways. So I'm kind of just sharing my own experience in a way. That's what essays are like. It's not about just knowledge you get from books. It's life knowledge, right? That's why they have an age limit on the test, right? You have to be 16 and above to take the IELTS exam. Why? Because a 12-year-old may have great language skills, but they may just not have the kind of media exposure, the kind of real life knowledge, exposure, experience, and all that to be able to actually write enough content. Okay, so however, it is important to recognize the role media consumption, again with the keyboard playing weird, plays children's lives. Right. Okay, so monitoring, okay, some content not suitable, for example, violent content. You don't want children, it can literally negatively affect their brain. And there, of course, eye health, that's another thing. And what else? Why else would, it takes time away from other activities. not just eye health, but even otherwise health in general. Because if you're going to sit home and watch TV all day instead of going out playing with your friends, obviously that's going to not just affect your eye health, but also affect your bodily health because you're not getting enough exercise that kids naturally do if they play outside. So that was pretty simple. Let's go on to the other side. It helps with language development. Personally, I credit my English language skills to TV. A lot of it to TV, a lot of it to books as well. But, both are important, right? Because TV is a living medium. Any kind of TV show, any kind of movie that you watch, well, of course, depending on, like, back in my day, TV was a static thing. You only had, like, new TV serials, TV shows. Um, so nowadays, of course, you can watch like an 80-year-old movie and everything. It's different now, but um, essentially what I mean is you get to, especially if you're learning a language, right? Consuming media in this form allows you to understand a lot about, for example, sounds, right? Sounds, accents, things like that. You get to kind of train your ear, which is very important, which is something a lot of people overlook. I'm learning a bunch of languages, and you can tell, when people don't have exposure to audio or video in that language, they tend to really struggle. And then, when you struggle and you keep making the same mistake over and over, it actually solidifies that mistake. So, language development, also, I mean, I would say that, okay, what do you learn when you watch a TV show, right? It helps with language development, but it also teaches, for example, uh, teaches children about cultural differences, right? Let's say you watch a TV show from Finland, or you watch a TV show from, um, Congo, wherever. You learn, oh, this is how people behave, right? Teach about culture, behavior, mannerisms, things like that. So it helps with their human development, helps with social skills as well, because you learn, okay, what do people do when they meet each other? What do people do, in this environment, that environment, right? So even if you're just a child who is, let's say, 10 years old, but you watch a TV show and there are, adults in it, and they're going to work and they're, meeting their coworkers. What do they do when they walk into the office? What do they do when they're faced with a problem? What kind of words do they use? What kind of actions do they? So that helps a lot, right? Because, I mean, it kind of helps you prepare in a way for the future, I would say. So it teaches about culture, it teaches language development, and human behavior, both acceptable and unacceptable. But often children who are very young, of course, they cannot really detect, hey, this person did something bad or this person did something good. But that's, of course, kind of covered in some content is not suitable. And so there we've got our ideas. And now what I need to do is create an introduction. So first, what's the theme? Television. So you need to create an introduction based on that theme. Try not to copy. That's something that is really, really unfavorable, right? So we'll write something about television, right? Television has been around for a long time now, and for the longest time, it was, people's entertainment of choice, right? Because it's easy to consume. So television has long been people's entertainment of choice. Uh, not just because it is easy to consume, but also because of the large variety, right, of content available for TV. While it may make some sense to think that children should avoid consuming television content, it does offer a range of somewhat hidden benefits, right, that should not be overlooked. There we go. That's our introduction. So we say something and then you share your opinion. That's it. But you do require, that first sentence, that background sentence type of construction. I've seen a lot of people struggle with that. Now, for our students, what we do is we have a huge booklet full of background statements for every single possible theme that I've personally created. But in general, for other people who are not our students, what I can tell you is you can just try practicing writing these kinds of statements. That can help a lot. So give it a try, because you're not going to get it right the first time, second time, third time. I would say, practice writing, take a whole bunch of, common topics, right? Try writing sentences based on that. You have to try it a couple dozen times, I would say, before you start to really get a feel for it. Okay, so then I've got my first main idea. So I'm just gonna copy that. Have I used beneficial? Okay, great. Okay. So that's my first idea, and then I've got some content. Health takes time away. Right. When you have your ideas, you might want to check if these ideas would be better if they were rearranged. It's not always the case, but it's worth it to just have a look. I've got unsuitable content, health, and taking time away from other activities. Maybe taking time away from other activities and health can be, I mean, they're together, so it makes sense. But maybe I can put this one here, and I can put that one, last one. That makes a lot more sense to me personally. Now, that's very objective, differs from person to person. Okay, so the biggest concern most people have is the fact that is a large amount of unsuitable content, such as programming of a violent, scary, or adult nature that is unsuitable for children to consume, as they do not yet have the they just don't have the brain development necessary to know what is good and bad, right? As children, as they are not physically and psychologically psychologically developed or mature to understand what is appropriate and inappropriate. There we go. What's the next idea? Takes time. Okay. Their health and well-being is another concern, right? Another factor to consider, because children who consume TV or consume such media are at risk of damaging their health, right? For example, by watching too much TV, risks their ocular, that's eye health. You can use the word eye health, that's okay. I've used ocular, that's the adjective form of the word eye. Ocular health and their physical health as well. Just ignore that. Physical health. So when I type too quick, this is what happens. Okay. Maybe I'll just use the other computer. Let's see. Their health and well-being is another factor to consider, because children who consume such media are at risk of damaging their health. I've already used the word health. This is weird. Are at risk of... Let me make it short, because it's very, very verbose. Yeah, too many words. You can use fewer words to say the same thing. So their health and well-being is another... health and well-being is kind of the same thing. So their health is another factor to consider, because children who consume such media are at risk of harming their ocular, damaging their ocular and physical health. Now you see, I said the same thing in fewer words. This is actually a skill, a higher level skill, right? Because why would you use a lot of words and just be pointlessly verbose when you can use fewer words and still convey the same message? Message is the same. You're not deleting content, right? Your message is the same. So their health is another factor to consider, because children who consume such media are at risk of damaging their ocular and physical health. Especially when they favor or prefer watching TV. I thought it would automatically correct, but it's not doing that. Just the double letters, of course, not the spelling, just the double letters. Therefore, watching TV over playing outside. You even get less vitamin D. Anyway, the last thing is, oh, okay, that's weird. I was supposed to write take time away, but I ended up okay, that's okay. I'll put that toward the end. Okay, so what is inappropriate and appropriate? I got sidetracked. Okay, my second idea was supposed to be not health, but takes time away. Okay. Right, so that is unsuitable for children to consume, not physically and psychologically mature enough. Great, takes time away. Another concern, I've already said health is another factor, so I'm not going to use the same type of transition. I could also say simultaneously. Well, not simultaneously. Actually, you know what? I will keep this right here because it flows nicely the way I've constructed, and then I'm going to use simultaneously, right? Because of the time they, spend watching TV, they would naturally have less time for other, perhaps more important activities, right? Such as doing their homework. There we go. And finally, you need a conclusion as well. You don't need it. It's just a stylistic option, honestly. I swear, what is up with this keyboard? Anyway, thus, okay, my main idea says monitor. Okay, in some cases, I'm typing something. Okay, I need to give this keyboard away. In some cases, I type a letter and something else happens. Okay. All right. Thus, in some cases, it may make sense. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait for a second. I'll just switch out the keyboards. Right, so the last thing we need to do is, well, you don't need to do it. You can do it if you want to. A concluding sentence. So it's a nice thing to have, but it's optional. It's not entirely necessary. So if you don't want to do it, you can leave it. That's okay. So in some cases, it makes sense. Well, it may make sense. It may make sense. Ooh. To carefully check what kind of content children consume. Or, carefully check. Well, that's okay. Yeah, that works. Then I've got my next sentence. I'm going to copy this. Oops, I accidentally said it. Okay. Right. So I'm going to copy that over here. Okay. And here I've got language development, culture, and behavior. I'll just write that down here. Language, culture, behavior. Okay, great. Right, so most importantly, it teaches the biggest benefit here. Widest ranging, I would say. Widest ranging benefit. These are widest ranging benefit with TV consumption or media consumption. Whoops, is the fact, okay, is the fact that it teaches children all about just children important language skills. Let's put it that way. Which just cannot be taught in the kind of things you learn from media, you don't really learn from a book, right? Which are usually not taught in books or schools. There we go. So the widest ranging benefit with media consumption is the fact that it teaches children important language skills, which are usually not taught in books or schools. And then culture. There Similarly, they also learn about the cultures of the regions, cultures of different regions. Let's put it that way. And how people differ in their views, habits, and lifestyles. So this makes them more tolerant. Yeah, which makes them more tolerant, more open-minded, right? And tolerant. And these two values are really important in the modern world, right? Lastly, behavior. And we've got, let's see, not only do they learn about lifestyles, other cultures, but they also learn about appropriate social norms, appropriate social, let's say, social norms and mores, right? Norms and mores in various, environments, which helps to kind of train them for the future. Because okay, this is what I saw people doing, so this is appropriate. It teaches them all of that, right? So thus, or hence, um, the role that TV, or the importance of media consumption. Whoops, the role of media consumption cannot be. There we go. That's our content. So now we're gonna check. Looks good, but I just want to check the word count just in case. You should always know how much you're writing. Now, let's say you are taking the pen and paper exam. There, of course, you don't have a word counter. So what do you do then? Well, that's easy enough. Either you have a teacher that can do it for you, or it's simple enough that you can do it for yourself. But what I would recommend is have a look at your other content. What kind of content do you normally write? Handwrite, right? And see on average how many words do you have in a line, not in a sentence, but in a line. Yeah, sentences and lines are different things. Sometimes we just, confuse one for the other. So very careful. Check how many words you write in one line on average, right? Now, one line might have 9 words, might have 5 words, might have 7 words. A lot of it depends on your handwriting, on the length of the word itself, right? So check, on average, how many. Let's say you have 10 lines and you have 100 words in total. So, okay, I write 10 words in a line. And then you can tell yourself, okay, if I need to write an introduction, then I need to write, let's say, 5 lines minimum, just to be on the safe side, right? To avoid writing a very small introduction or even a very big introduction, right? So that's what you can do. So far it's 291, which is good enough. Then the last thing I need is also a conclusion. So I'm gonna start with my conclusion. That's pretty standard because we don't do anything fancy, but it does have to be, meaningful. It does have to be well done. So in conclusion, it is evident that although there are some valid concerns, a few, not even some, there are a few valid concerns regarding TV consumption, use of TV, or regarding television use, children. These are easy to overcome. Easy to manage, in order to ensure that children really benefit, right? Children gain the maximum benefit, that children gain the maximum, maximum benefit sometimes my fingers work faster than my mind. Sometimes I also get the feeling that my mouth works faster than my brain. Like the idea is there and it's already left my mind. Okay, these are easy to. Okay, let me read because sometimes when you're writing a big sentence, right, you might just lose track. That happens all the time to everyone. You're not the only one. So, it is evident that although there are a few valid concerns regarding television use by children, these are easy to manage in order to ensure that children gain the maximum benefit from such a form of media. Great. And then finally, we also have some kind of advice. If children are not allowed to consume any, and I used to know people like that. If children are not allowed to consume, I've already used the word, yeah, okay, great. I haven't used it here. So if children are not allowed to consume any television media at all, or the television content at all, they would end up kind of, stunted in any aspects. Well, yeah, because it's true. Like their social skills weren't as good. They weren't confused by aspects of culture, other cultures, not your own. Because of course you learn about your culture, but what about other cultures? Like we live in 2023, especially. Your neighbor might be from a different state. Your friend might be from a different country. I mean, that's normal now. 25 years ago, maybe not so much, right? Back then, you really only had, and the internet wasn't so popular back then either. So that was super important in many aspects. Where's my S? There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna check the total word count real quick and then I'll stop for you so you can have a look at each paragraph. This is like 350. Okay, that's pretty average, pretty standard for me. And here is the introduction, so you can pause the screen, have a look, read if you want to. Then we've got body paragraph 1 right here. Again, you can pause the screen. Then we've got body paragraph 2 right here. And we have the last paragraph, the conclusion. And that's it. That's the whole thing. So that was fun, enjoyable, definitely nice to have a bit of a break from those opinion essays in the last 3 videos. Let's hope we have a problem solution essay next month. All right then, so that's enough for today. But if you've got any feedback, just let me know. Drop a comment down below. And while you're here, don't forget to click on like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support. And if you've got any ideas for what kind of content you would like to see on the channel, just let me know. I'm open to all kinds of feedback. All right, then I'll see you in the next video. Bye.